Good morning, third grade. Welcome to math class. Today we are going to begin by looking at our standard, and we're going to cover the Florida State Standard 3.0A 4.9, which in simpler terms means to identify arithmetic patterns, including patterns in the addition table or the multiplication tables, and explain them using the properties of operations. And what that means to you is these are your I can statements. I can identify patterns and write a rule to explain the pattern. I can identify the missing integer or number when given the rule. And most importantly, is I can work in a group and share my ideas. Now, the third I can statement isn't part of the standard, but it's important that we learn to work together and share our ideas and collaborate with our peers. So let's get started. These are a few of the questions that we're going to look for answers today. What is a pattern? And what is the mathematical operation needed to find that pattern? And then what rule can I write to prove the pattern is correct? And then what's a practical application for identifying patterns? Remember, if you need more time today or you have a question, go ahead and type that question in the chat or raise your virtual hand if you need assistance. And Cohen, if you'll help me monitor that chat, please, that would be very helpful today. And then for those of you who are watching the interview today, this is how I start my class with my students in the morning, always letting them know what they're about to learn, what my expectation is for them, and what we need to accomplish throughout the day. I like to give them some questions to look for the answers as we go through our lesson, and it just kind of helps keep them focused. And if they find that they're not really getting what they need, they can refer back to those questions as we proceed. So I'm going to go in and out of teacher mode here and do a little explanation as we go through. My small groups that I put together for today are 5 groups. I have my red group, which are my high achievers who are really above grade level and need that enrichment portion. And they'll be completing the practice as well as going into small groups and creating their own patterns and then writing their own rules to share with each other. I have my blue group, and some of my students in the blue group need some special tech adaptations, such as a text reader for my students that are struggling with reader comprehension, and calculators for some of my students who are a little slow in their math computation. And the reason I do this, especially using the calculators during math, is I want them to focus on understanding the standard that we're working on, and we can go back and revisit the calculation portion at a later time. They also will be completing the practice and creating their own patterns and rules, but probably at a slower pace. My orange and yellow group are on grade level, but might need a little extra practice. And that's why when you'll see in the next slide, I have put together some extra links and extra practices for them. And then I have my green group. My green group are children that are below grade level and need a little extra practice. And when we break into small group, they'll be working with me in order to look back through that scaffolding and see where that misstep is, and if I need to backfill a little bit in order to get them where they need to be for the standard. All right, so these are my learning links, and I put learning links into every one of my presentations that I do with my students, and this gives them access to go back and look at the presentation anytime they want. If parents want to work with them, they can work with them at a later time during the day and at least see and keep up with what we're doing in class time. Today, I'm going to be using my Khan Academy in order to illustrate what this lesson would be, and you'll see the link for that class video. And then also you see the practice link, and that's what they'll be completing at least 5 of those 7 questions. And we'll be doing some together in class where I model and we do together. And then to continue that gradual release, they'll finish that practice on their own. And then there's some additional video and practice for those students who feel they need it, or that when I review the data, it shows me how to regroup for tomorrow as we continue through this standard, or also who needs some additional practice that I can make that mandatory for them, or to work with me in a small group. All right, and then I have my exit ticket, which is just a small formative that we'll do today. And then as I add to and we progress through these standards, the next step would be going into coordinate planes and graphing pairs together. And then that would be part of a summative toward the end of the week. So that kind of explains my assessment and how that would work. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started here. And I will go ahead and click on my Khan Academy video and it'll pop up. Hopefully. Links are always challenging sometimes. Okay. And here we go. All right. Now I can see that this is at the end.
10. And
let me stop it here and go back. And then I'm going to really quickly just go into my teacher mode here and show you. All right. So this is how I would progress with my students. Okay, class, take a look up here. We have 3 sets of numbers. And I want you to take a look at those and see what kind of patterns do you see. Yep, you're right. The numbers are increasing. Ariana, what do you see? Yeah, yep, they are. They're definitely getting larger. How do we make numbers get larger? Elisha? Yep, addition. Addition is the way to make numbers larger. What else? What other order of operations do we use? Or I'm sorry, what other operations do we use? Micah? Yeah, multiplication makes numbers larger too. Absolutely. So what do I have to do to my 4, number 4? What do I have to add to 4 to get to 25? Gage? Yep, 21. You're right. I add 21. How about, what do I add to 25 to have the sum of 46? Micah? 21 again. Correct. So if I add 4 plus 21, I have a sum of 25. If I add 25 plus 21, I have a sum of 46. What should I try then to see if my pattern fits? What do you think, Garen? Yeah, let's try 21 again, right? So if I add 46 plus 21, what's my sum? I'll give you a second. Raise your hand when you think you have an answer for me. Sarah? 67. So what kind of a rule could I make? Yes, I could say that my rule is plus 21. If I add 21 to each number, it takes me to the next number. So 4 plus 21 takes me to 25. 25 plus 21 takes me to 46. 46 plus 21 takes me to 67. So what would my next number be? Think about it. 67 plus 21. Alexis? Yes, correct. 68. So does that prove my rule? Absolutely. So then I would go down and I'd work through all 3 examples with the students. For time's sake, I'm not going to play the video through, but at the end, after I asked them questions and led them through the process, then we'd go ahead and play the video in order to elaborate a little bit more on how the rules are formed. So we can see for the next, they'd have to figure out that, nope, this is an addition, even though 3 plus 3 would give me 6. If I add 3 to 6, that would not give me 12. So I have to look for another way to get there. So if I look, oh yeah, I know that 3 times 2 is 6. Terrific. What about 6 times 2? And I would call on someone and we'd work our way through those processes. All right. So that's basically how this would work. I'm going to go back into my slides. Right. So then I would go ahead and tell the students, and I'll just go back into teacher mode. Okay, we're going to split into our small groups now. You all know your colors. And once your chat room opens and you're inside, I'm going to be popping in and out to help you. Green group, you're going to be working with me today through the practice session so that we can have a little extra time together to make sure you have a good understanding of the standard. And before I send you away, what I need to do is kind of an observational assessment here. Show me with thumbs up, totally get it, Mrs. Fritz, to, oh man, I have no idea what we're talking about, or somewhere in between. All right, and once I get a look to see, I can kind of look again at how I've grouped my students. And those groups are based on data that I've had previously that we've pre-assessed before we've gone into this lesson. And then if I need to make any last minute changes, I can before I put them into groups. All right, and going on to the next. The assessments that I obviously just explained are the observational assessment with the thumbs up and thumbs down. And then the assessment of my practice activity, where I'll pull that data to determine my grouping for tomorrow, including any reteaching or enrichment activities that need to be put into place. And then my exit ticket, which is basically a collection of the formative assessment to determine the mastery of the standard. And that looks like this, the exit ticket. They just go ahead and click on, and it's just a Google form that I put together for the students to go ahead and answer the questions. And that is about how my lesson would go. I have some resources. I use the FLDOE for my standard and the khanacademy.org for my video and student practice. And then my Google form, exit ticket, and for my formative assessment. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope to hear from you. I love teaching virtually. It's just my thing. I really believe it's the future, especially with gifted students. It lets them work at their own pace, and you can always be there for them when they need it. All right, thanks for watching. See you later.